important to teach or learn women and gender studies?
Yes, I do, because it sounds important to learn about women.
I say yes because I think it's important for all women of all ages to know and understand how things have started for women's movements and stuff like that. And I think it's important for women to be empowered by knowing what history tells so that they can do something for the future.
I definitely think it is important, just like anything with history. If we don't understand it, we're not going to know how to fix it and how to evolve and change into the direction that we want to go to. So that I definitely think it's important. It's history, and history repeats itself. So in order for it to not repeat itself, we have to know what's happened in the past so we can continue to grow and move forward.
Okay, what is your knowledge on the cause of the women's movement? Very little, minimal.
Women weren't seen as full human beings. Granted they have more rights than black people, but they couldn't vote, and they felt like they had to be stuck inside the house. They wanted to have jobs.
My knowledge is it was really centered around women being able to gain access to gain political power. Yes, I don't know. I think it was the 20th amendment to the Constitution, I want to say.
Cause of the women's movement was basically women who were disempowered. So initially with the first wave, it was women who could not vote. And so they were just seeking equal rights and equal treatment, equal pay. I think it's important not just for the women students, but also the men. They are going to be possibly fathers of daughters, possibly have relationships with women, possibly be leaders or supervisors. And so they need to know as much as women need to know about just the experiences of women, how they participate in discrimination. So, and they probably are not always traditionally branded for women's rights, but I think probably many of the sororities address women's issues. I know in the Department of History, they have an event in March. We have various things through our Women's and Gender Studies program. So it's probably things that do exist. I'm probably assuming even in political science, there's some aspect of maybe women in politics or running for office. So it might not necessarily be branded in the traditional sense, but I do think that there are various things across campus or activities that really address women's empowerment and activism. Well, I think the one today is because of technology, and that really is about the fourth wave of feminism. Women use different social media platforms. It's accessible to lots of people. So whereas in the 20s, during the suffrage movement, you might have had more hierarchy. So you had a leader of the women's movement, and they were the bona fide leader, and you kind of went through them. They might have created the messages for the actual movement, and that was that. Whereas today, I have a social media platform, you have a social media platform, and we're able to do some things and not have gatekeepers in our participation. And that's really how quite a few things have started. So the Me Too movement started in that way, and some other things as well.
There has been a long history of women, particularly black women historians at NCCU, who have advanced the cause of establishing a women's and gender studies program. We have archival records that go back to the 1970s where women within this department were trying to establish that as a serious field to consider, and were met with resistance in terms of establishing it as a program. What came out of that did include the development of courses in women's history. So in that sense, the university has been open to the idea of embracing this notion that women have made a contribution to our society and that students should have access to study that experience. And the fact that now that we're in the 21st century, the university has been open to allowing the establishment of a women's and gender studies minor. So on paper, I think, yes, NCCU embraces women's and gender studies. But I do not believe that this is a university that embraces the notion of feminism at all. And that part of the challenge is how do we activate the possibility of developing feminist conscious students, right? And part of that work is in the establishment of women's and gender studies. So I would say I'm hopeful that the university and its students and faculty and staff will someday develop a feminist consciousness that will allow us to really expand the way we approach the study of the human condition, and specifically to address the experiences and needs of women specifically. That is an aim that I hope one day will be achieved, but we are not there yet.
What does women and gender studies mean to you? Women and gender studies mean to me is kind of like an empowering thing for all students to learn about it, because a lot of people have this perception of women as being only homemakers or only being able to do things like behind the scenes. And I think that understanding how women are, how women think, and how powerful we actually are can honestly help people understand that you can also be a homemaker, or you can also, you know, take care of your family needs, but you can also do so much more outside of that. You can go work in corporate, you can, you know, be like myself, an athletic trainer in the future. You can do things and still find a balance and still be known as a woman. It doesn't have one discrete definition.
Basically the same as Kamari, because, you know, I think sometimes we overlook women's studies and like just the impact that women have had in the political realm, in the science, in all aspects of areas and stuff like that. And so it's important to study them, because it's like, oh wow, I didn't know that women did this too. So it's important to just study women and to empower women about it. And I think, you know, maybe more males should take the class as well. I think also it's important to talk about, at least at an HBCU, the difference between black feminism and white feminism, and how they have different impacts, and how to just kind of explain to a white feminist what the actual black feminist struggle is, because sometimes we kind of clump all of our problems together, but it's like when you go deeper, it's like they're affected on a different level, because like I said earlier, white women were still seen as more human than black women. And so it's important to kind of like do women's and gender studies just to highlight that.